Have you guys ever wondered what it would be like to have a superpower? I like to fly. Would you like to be invisible? Yeah, me too. What about if we could prevent crimes from ever being committed? Or what if we could go one further and actually prevent the thought of a crime from even being conceived? So I come from a background of helping businesses optimize their systems and processes. And one day I thought to myself, I said, I had an idea, and which is, if you know me, it's quite a dangerous thing. And when I help businesses, I look at their problem areas. And often when I find things that aren't working, I'll ask them, why are you still doing it this way? And the answer will inevitably be, well, that's the way we've always done it. And I love that answer. And so what I did, I asked myself, I said, what if we applied this same systems thinking approach to analysing the big systems and processes that govern society? You know, the justice system, health system, politics, economics, all of it. And so what I found when I started digging was that often in our attempt to optimize society, we're often just ever treating the symptoms and never really the underlying causes. And so I dug even deeper. And what I found was that many of these social issues that we face in society are the result of the same underlying problems, like a lack of respect and empathy that people have for each other. And so it begs the question, rather than trying to treat individual issues like poverty or domestic violence, perhaps we should also be considering treating the underlying cause of all of these. Now you might ask, how would we tackle such a huge topic? Well, I'm here to tell you today that the answer has been staring us right in the face all along. Do you want to know what it is? Yes. Thought you might. School. But not school as we know it today, not simply institutions for learning subject matter, but completely reimagined and transformed into incubators for nurturing great human beings. Teaching subjects like respect, empathy, gratitude, not as implied concepts from core subjects, but as subjects in their own right. And so, the way society's moved on over the last 100 years or so, things are different now. You know, it used to be that one parent would go off to work, one would stay home to raise the kids. But these days, things are a little bit different, with many single-parent families, and often families where both parents are out working. Often kids are just left at home to their own devices, literally. And sometimes that means that kids are forming their view of the world from less than optimal sources. Social media, gangs, and more recently, AI. So I want you to consider this. Picture a newborn baby, helpless, innocent. And now picture that same child 15 years later, breaking into houses with a machete. What's happened here? How did that baby, effectively a blank canvas, go from that to someone who has no respect? Now, some of you might say, well, that's just bad parenting, or maybe just bad influences, or perhaps it's just bad luck. But see, something somewhere has gone wrong. And sure, we say that parents, it's their role to instill these values in their children. But these days, parents don't have the same level of influence like they used to. And children now have access to the whole world in the palm of their hands. And so while society has moved on, the education system, for the most part, has not. Yes, we've made some advances and, there are more options now in how we educate, but generally, it still remains a throwback from the Industrial Revolution, where the goal was to put through as many through the system and out into the workforce as possible, in order to realize all the hopes and dreams for every country wanting to increase its GDP. But what if? What if we totally reimagined education? We took bold, audacious steps. Welcome to the School of the Future, where schools teach the essence of what it means to be human, not just simply as a science subject like biology, but as a wondrous exploration of what it means to be human. To understand the incredible gifts that we've all been endowed with. And what about learning about our differences? Because that's really our superpowers, and not simply sociology. Now, any Harry Potter fans here? Yeah. All right, just one or two of you. If you're a fan, you'll know that at Hogwarts, kids were learning about making potions, casting spells, all in their journey of becoming wizards. But what do we explicitly teach our children about becoming great human beings? Sure, we teach mathematics to them every day because numbers matter. But why aren't we teaching respect and empathy every day because people matter even more? And I don't mean simply as an inferred concept from a classroom novel or an aspiring outcome from a visit to a museum. See, this is how it's currently taught under the general capabilities pillar of the Australian curriculum. Now, I mean something a lot more overt. Teaching subjects respect, empathy, and life skills. Teaching life skills so that those who are already receiving this in the home gain even more reinforcement, whilst those who are missing out completely don't just fall through the cracks. So I've designed a framework for delivering these lessons in an age-appropriate way that build year on year throughout a child's schooling life. These lessons would be delivered through the lens of 4 key relationships. Firstly, our relationship with the universe. Understanding the vast universe, the incredible confluence of events that led to us even being here. The planet that sustains us, and the wonder that is our human bodies. Now, these lessons would be delivered not to be assessed on, but to be humbled by them. Second lesson, all about self. Understanding our incredible capabilities as human beings, minds and bodies, but also understanding our limitations, our biases, our filters. Third, inner circle. Relationships matter, but often we treat strangers better than our nearest and dearest. So learning to understand why sometimes we take people for granted. And finally, community. So whether it's someone on the other side of the street or the other side of the world, understanding that we are all connected by an invisible thread called humanity is fundamental to us reaching everyone with empathy. Now, you might think this is a little bit fanciful, but it's already happening. So Finland, which often tops the World Happiness Index, offers free education to its citizens and teaches trust and equity. And since 1993, Denmark has been offering mandatory classes every week to all kids 6 to 16 years of age on empathy. And the results, some of the lowest bullying rates in the world. Now, I began talking about the idea that maybe we could stop crimes from happening if we intercept them before they even become thoughts. So imagine a child who's immersed in learning all about empathy from 3, 4 years old, all the way through their schooling. Would it be so easy for them to commit a violent act on another person? or one who's been learning about respect for everyone from a very young age? Could they ever become a racist? So imagine a world where domestic violence is a thing of the past because we all started seeing each other as the walking miracles that each of us are. And it's not just about crime prevention, because this same curriculum would be responsible for educating our leaders and our politicians. So imagine leaders brought up on a diet of empathy and gratitude, seeking outcomes far beyond just their own. And where solving poverty and homelessness would no longer be viewed by governments as just a problematic business expense item, but as a necessary prerequisite for a healthy and successful society for everyone. And see, all of this begins the moment we choose to design who we want to become, rather than just simply leaving it to chance. And so, if you've ever wondered what it would be like to have a superpower, well, you don't need to wonder anymore. Because the greatest superpower we possess today is teaching our kids how to become great human beings. Thank you.